I still remember the sound my badge made when I dropped it on his desk. That little plastic click? It wasn't loud, but somehow it echoed in my head for days. I think that was the exact moment I realized I'd been fired. 5 days. 5 days after starting what I thought was my first real job. NNTHE. Funny thing is, I wasn't even angry at first. I was embarrassed. Like I'd done something wrong, even though deep down I knew I hadn't. That's the thing about shame. It doesn't wait for logic. It just floods you. When I joined the company, I was honestly just grateful someone had hired me. 26, fresh out of a pretty bad year. Laid off from my last gig, credit cards maxed out, student loans haunting me like bad dreams. So yeah, when a small tech startup in Seattle said yes, I was ready to give them everything. Long hours, weekends, whatever it took. NNY boss, Nathan, was the kind of guy who fills every room with his voice. Not shouting, just that I'm used to being listened to tone. He loved to call himself a progressive CEO. He talked about company culture, about inclusion, about women in tech. I bought into it. I really did. NNBUT from day one, there were cracks. Like when he'd compliment me, but it wasn't really about my work. "You've got that energy people just notice," he said once. I laughed it off. My fault. I always laugh when I'm uncomfortable. He'd linger by my desk sometimes, watching my screen. Once, he mentioned how women like me shouldn't waste their looks behind spreadsheets. That one stung. But I smiled anyway. You don't want to be that girl who can't take a joke. NETHE office itself smelled like burnt coffee and recycled ambition, that mix of startup air freshener and desperation. Everyone worked too much, slept too little, lived off caffeine and validation. I fit right in. NNTHE day everything fell apart. It was a Tuesday. I was halfway through a presentation when I got a Slack message from a coworker. "Hey, is this you?" Then a link and an MY stomach dropped before I even clicked, and it was a screenshot from OnlyFans. Not my face, but yeah. You could see the tattoo on my wrist, a tiny crescent moon. I'd gotten it at 19, stupid and idealistic. My handle wasn't tied to my real name, but someone had connected the dots. The message thread underneath was full of little laughing emojis. Guess we know why she got the job. Startup perks, huh? I remember my hands shaking so bad the cursor danced on the screen. I couldn't breathe. The hum of the air conditioner was the only sound left. An hour later, HR called me in. Nathan was already there. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He started with, "This is difficult for me," which is always code for "I've already decided." He said the company had to, quote, protect its image, that what I did in my private life reflected poorly on the brand. I told them the profile was anonymous. HR said it didn't matter. The damage is done. Nathan threw in that he was disappointed in me. That one hurt the most. He looked so righteous, like I'd betrayed him personally. He even said, "You're too smart for something like that." Like he was saving me from myself. When I walked out, I felt like every eye in the office followed me, even if no one actually looked up. My chest felt hollow. I got in my car, closed the door, and just sat there. The engine wasn't even on. I remember staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror and not recognizing my own face, and I told myself it would pass, that people forget scandals fast. But some things don't fade, they just settle, like dust you can't clean off. And yeah, that was only the beginning. I didn't tell anyone what really happened that week. Not my mom, not my friends. I said the company wasn't a good fit, which technically wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. NNBUT, the internet doesn't leave room for secrets. Within days, someone from that office had posted a blurry screenshot on Reddit. A thread titled, "My coworker got fired for having an OnlyFans, thoughts?" Thousands of comments. Strangers dissecting my body, my choices, my morality like they were running a science experiment. And I read every single one. I couldn't stop. It was like pressing on a bruise. It hurt, but it was proof I was still there. Some people defended me, most didn't. Actions have consequences. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I could almost hear their voices sneering. NNTHE shame was physical. I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up drenched in sweat at 3 a.m., convinced that someone was outside my window, filming. I deleted everything. Twitter, Instagram, even my Venmo. It's funny how fast your whole identity can shrink when you're just trying to disappear. Into Nathan, the progressive CEO? He didn't reach out once. No apology. No. Are you okay? Nothing. He moved on like I was an HR footnote. And I saw his LinkedIn post a week later. It said something like, "Sometimes tough leadership decisions are necessary to protect the values we stand for." 1,000 likes. A dozen comments saying how strong he was for making ethical choices. I remember my jaw locking so tight I heard a pop in my ear and ethical choices. Right, and then I went back to freelancing because no one else would hire me. Background checks are brutal when your name is tied to internet gossip. Clients would ghost me after just a quick Google search. My bank account was draining faster than my optimism. And I told myself I was done with OnlyFans. But Rent doesn't care about dignity. So I opened the account again. Same username, same tattoo, same blurry lighting in my bedroom. Except this time, I didn't feel empowered or ironic or sex positive. I just felt tired. Then one night, around 1:30 a.m., I got a notification. New VIP subscriber, $800 per month. I blinked twice. That number didn't even make sense. It was absurdly high. I clicked the username. In it was N8Tech. NFOR. Anyone else, that probably wouldn't mean much. But I remembered that handle from Slack. Nathan used it for everything. His gaming account, his internal logins. Hell, I once saw it pop up when he connected to the office. Wi-Fi, NNMY. First thought was that it had to be a troll. Or maybe a coworker trying to mess with me. But curiosity eats you alive. I checked the geolocation data from the messages, same IP as the office servers. My chest got tight. That cold adrenaline feeling that starts at your spine and climbs up your neck. NNHE started messaging right away, complimenting me, asking for custom content. The words made my skin crawl. He typed like a man who thought he was invisible, like the rules didn't apply to him. And I didn't respond at first. I just watched him. The way he'd log in late at night. The specific things he asked for. He even sent tips with messages like, "You're too good at this to waste your time in corporate life." NNTHE, same man who fired me for hurting the company's image. And the worst part? I wasn't even surprised. That's what hit me hardest. Not the disgust, not the betrayal. The predictability of it. Of him. And a week later, he slipped up. He sent a message that included a reflection in his monitor. You could see part of his face. I zoomed in. No question. It was him. That's when something inside me went quiet. Not angry quiet. Just still. Like all the noise in my head finally had somewhere to go. Because suddenly I wasn't the story anymore. He was. When people talk about snapping, they usually picture something loud. Screaming, breaking things, chaos. Mine was quiet. So quiet, I almost didn't notice it happening. And I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I just opened a new folder on my desktop and named it Receipts. Every night, while the city slept, I sat in the glow of my laptop collecting proof. Screenshots of his messages. Timestamps. Payment confirmations. Server IPs. I recorded the moment he sent that reflection photo. That blurry outline of his jaw. The same watch he used to check obsessively in meetings. The same smug posture he had when he told me I was too smart for something like that. It was almost clinical, like I was filing evidence for someone else's trial. But it was mine, all of it. Sometimes I'd catch myself laughing quietly, not because it was funny, but because of the absurdity. The same man who fired me for immorality was now my top-paying subscriber. $800 a month for a secret he thought no one would ever know. NNBUT secrets have gravity. They always pull toward the light. I didn't know what to do with the proof at first. I wasn't planning to go nuclear. I just wanted to know that I wasn't crazy. That what happened to me had a shape, a timeline, a texture. Something real. Still, I couldn't shake the thought of all those women he probably lectured about professionalism. The interns he mentored. The way he smiled for those diversity panels about respect in the workplace. I started wondering how many of them had swallowed their anger like I did. Some nights, I'd reread his messages until my eyes burned. You're addictive. Wish I could talk to you at work again. You have no idea how hard it was pretending I didn't notice you. NTHAT last one hit me like a punch. Because that's exactly what it was. Pretending. His whole career was one long performance of decency. and I didn't sleep much that month. My apartment smelled like burnt coffee and insomnia. There was this one night, 2:43 a.m., I remember exactly, when I just stared at his LinkedIn profile on my phone. That same photo with the crisp suit, the confident grin, the hashtags about leadership and integrity. And I thought, you built a whole brand on lies. NNTHE cursor blinked on my screen like it was daring me to do something. NNSO I did. And I wrote a post. Not a rant, not a revenge fantasy. Just the truth. Stripped of names, stripped of details that could get me sued. It said NN. Last month, I was fired for having an anonymous account online. Today, the same man who signed my termination letter is one of my paying subscribers. NNTHAT was it. No hashtags, no tags, just a single, shaking truth. And I hovered over post for a good minute. My hands were sweaty. My heart was doing that painful, heavy thud that feels like it's bruising your ribs from the inside. Then I clicked it. NNNFOR. The first time in months, I felt something close to oxygen. It took about 5 hours for it to blow up. By morning, there were thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. This is exactly why women don't come forward. Burn it all down. We see you. NNBY noon. People were already connecting dots. Someone posted screenshots of Nathan's recent values speech. Someone else dug up old photos from a company party. I didn't confirm or deny anything. I didn't have to. NNBY sunset. He deleted his accounts. NN me? I sat on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the glow of my phone screen while the world did the thing I couldn't speak. And I wasn't smiling. I wasn't triumphant. I was just quiet again. Because when you finally tell the truth, it doesn't sound like victory. It sounds like silence after a storm. The morning after, my phone looked like it had exploded. Notifications stacked on top of each other, like the internet was having a collective panic attack. People from my old job were texting me. Not to apologize. No, that would have been too easy. They just wanted to clarify what I meant. HR asked if I would consider taking the post down for the sake of privacy. Nathan hadn't been named, but they were terrified everyone would connect the dots, which, of course, they already had. NNHI's photo started circulating within 24 hours. Someone found old screenshots of him at that diversity conference, the one where he talked about the importance of safe spaces for women in tech. The comments under it turned feral. NNHE issued a personal statement on LinkedIn saying he was taking time off to reflect. That's corporate for I got caught and need my lawyer to breathe first. Then came the think pieces. The double standards of tech culture, when morality becomes marketing. Every headline used words like hypocrisy and power imbalance. Words I'd been choking on for months, and I didn't read them. I couldn't. I kept my phone face down most days, the screen buzzing like a trapped insect on the table. And yet, beneath all the noise, I felt something strange. It wasn't satisfaction. It was relief, the kind that's heavier than anger. Like I'd been holding my breath for a year and finally exhaled, only to realize the air still smelled like smoke. And a friend called and said, "You won." But I didn't feel like I had. Because winning implies you were playing a game, and I never agreed to this one. And I deleted the OnlyFans account the next week. Not because of shame. That's the part one want people to understand. It wasn't shame. It was about control. About wanting my face, my body, my narrative to belong to me again. You don't realize how many pieces of yourself you hand out just trying to survive until you start gathering them back. NMY apartment was quiet those days, except for the hum of my old fridge and the distant sirens outside. I spent hours cleaning, not because it needed it, but because I needed to feel like something could actually be wiped clean. The smell of lemon disinfectant became the closest thing I had to peace. Nathan's company announced his departure 2 weeks later. No mention of misconduct, no press conference, just a short paragraph on the website. We thank him for his contributions. That's how stories like mine always end in the corporate world, with polite amnesia, NNBUT, then something unexpected started happening. I began getting messages from other women. Some I knew, most I didn't. They told me their stories, different details, same pattern. Bosses who mentored them until it got uncomfortable. HRs who called it a misunderstanding. Companies that preached equality until it cost them profit. And every message felt like a piece of proof that I hadn't screamed into a void. One of them wrote, "You made me feel less crazy. I cried for a long time after that one. NNTHE irony? My post had become the kind of thing Nathan loved to brag about, viral engagement. Except this time, he wasn't the hero of the narrative. Sometimes, late at night, I'd open his old messages, the ones that started it all. I kept them, not as revenge, but as a reminder of how easy it is for powerful people to hide behind decency until the mirror shatters. I think about him sometimes. Not with hate, just with disbelief. He ruined my career trying to protect an image that he himself destroyed. And maybe that's what justice actually looks like. Not a dramatic ending, but a man alone with the version of himself he can't escape anymore. It's been 6 months now. Long enough for the headlines to fade. Long enough for everyone to move on. Everyone except me. That's the part no one tells you about truth-telling. You think it'll set you free, but freedom comes with its own kind of loneliness. People love a scandal, but they forget the person at the center of it still has to wake up in the same bed, with the same ghosts. And I work freelance now, mostly from home. I write copy for small brands, do a little marketing consulting when I can get it. My laptop sits on the same kitchen table where I built that folder called Receipts. Sometimes I catch myself glancing at it, like it might still be there, pulsing quietly in the background. NNTHE irony is, I'm better at my job now. Sharper. Less naive. I used to think professionalism meant staying silent, letting things slide to keep the peace. Now I know that peace built on silence isn't peace at all. It's just containment. I don't hate Nathan. I don't even wish him anything bad. Hate takes energy I'd rather spend on rebuilding. But sometimes, when I scroll past one of those motivational posts on LinkedIn, the kind with a sunset photo and words like integrity always wins, I laugh out loud. A short, hollow sound that probably scares my cat. Might keep that tattoo, the little crescent moon, uncovered now. For years, I'd hide it under bracelets or sleeves, like it was a confession I didn't mean to make. But lately, I look at it differently. It's not shame anymore. It's evidence that I existed through something, that I survived being seen and misjudged, and still found a way to stay standing. There's a particular kind of silence that follows public humiliation. It's thicker than grief, heavier than guilt. It's the kind where every sound feels too loud, so you start whispering even when you're alone. I lived in that silence for months. But slowly, I've been replacing it with new sounds. The click of my keyboard, the kettle boiling, the sound of my own voice. When I say noun, a few weeks ago, I got an email from someone who used to work with Nathan. She said he was trying to make a comeback, whatever that means. A new startup, a new vision. People like him always land somewhere soft. She asked if I was going to say something again. I thought about it for a long time. Then I realized I already did. The post is still out there, archived in a million screenshots. It doesn't need me anymore. It's become its own kind of mirror, one that reflects more than just his face. NNTHE world didn't collapse when I told the truth. No one crowned me a hero. No one rescued me. But that's okay. The point wasn't to win. It was to reclaim the story. To make sure the version of me that exists online isn't just the girl who got fired for OnlyFans. Sometimes, I still wake up in the middle of the night with that same thought circling. Was it worth it? Because honestly, I lost a lot. My job. My safety. My sense of belonging. NNBUT. Then I remember the message from that girl who said, "You made me feel less crazy." And yeah, maybe that's enough. NN, I don't think justice looks like what movies teach us. It's quieter. Smaller. It's when you finally stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening in the first place. NNTHE world keeps spinning. New scandals trend, new stories replace mine. But the next time some man in power decides to punish a woman for her choices while hiding behind his own, maybe, just maybe, someone will remember this one. And if they do, then maybe it was worth it. Would you have done what I did, or just walked away blind?